Ireland is a gateway to Europe and other parts of the world, I think is very mutually beneficial for Indianapolis and for Dublin.
Air travel taking a new direction. Indianapolis International Airport lands a new nonstop to Europe, to the Emerald Isle. How it could boost Indiana's already robust, multi-billion-dollar business connection with Ireland, and what it means for Hoosier vacationers looking to get over the pond without stopping.
Book often, and I know you're going to enjoy the flight to Ireland. Thank you.
Inside Indiana Business is next.
From Indiana's business news leader, this is IBJ Media's Inside Indiana Business with Gerry Dick, presented by Elevate Ventures, Indiana University, and LiUNA.
Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gerry Dick, coming to you this week from Indianapolis International Airport, where there was a major announcement, a long-awaited announcement that will have implications for business and leisure travelers and the Indiana economy. About 4 years after losing a coveted nonstop from Indy to Paris, there is a new nonstop to Europe, this one to Ireland.
We are once again connecting Indiana to the world and spurring economic development for our region.
Indiana's connection to Europe is back on. Beginning next May, 4 flights weekly from Indy to Dublin.
This development will have a huge impact on Indiana's business sector and our increasingly global economy.
Really looking forward to it, and looking forward to the new destination at the other end.
Beyond the nonstop connection to Dublin, the nonstops on Ireland's flag carrier Aer Lingus will provide a gateway to Europe.
280 and 21. We are very pleased to welcome you all on board.
Connections to 20 destinations, from Paris to Frankfurt, Amsterdam to Rome. The Indianapolis Airport Authority estimates the transatlantic nonstops could have more than a $50 million annual economic impact in Indiana and enhance an already strong trading relationship. From pharmaceuticals to medical equipment, Ireland exports more than $20 billion in goods to Indiana annually. Eli Lilly and Company has been manufacturing in Ireland for more than 40 years and recently announced a nearly $2 billion investment to increase its manufacturing footprint there.
It's massive, Eli Lilly and all the other companies, and you're talking like billions of dollars, thousands of jobs on both sides. Here in Indiana, you've got more than 20 Irish companies based here.
And after touring Aer Lingus facilities in Ireland, Governor Holcomb told me the business impact extends beyond airports to waterports.
We'll be at Cork, at the port of Cork, later this week. And that port, along with the Burns Harbor, our port in northern Indiana, critically important for the shipping of goods, which means critically important for the cost of shipping of goods, which means very good for businesses, two-way trade in both Europe, in Ireland, and the Emerald Isle, and in Indiana.
And joining me now with some insider's perspective on what this new nonstop to Europe means, pleased as always to be joined by Mario Rodriguez, the Executive Director of the Indianapolis Airport Authority. And Mario, a big announcement, Indy to Dublin, but the point was made, this is really a gateway to Europe. So it's going into Dublin, but you got a lot of other routes you can get.
Oh yeah, Gary, I cannot express how excited I am and our award-winning team is to once again become the gateway to Europe for Indiana. So you could get from here to Dublin and all over Europe within a very, very short hop. And the economics between Indiana and Ireland are out of this world. We export to Ireland over $750 million on an annual basis. But the bigger story is that we import $20.8 billion. 1/4 of everything exported into the United States from Ireland comes into the state of Indiana. It's a huge deal.
Indianapolis lost the nonstop to Paris 4+ years ago in the pandemic. And I know there have been a lot of efforts between then and now to get to this point. Talk about that effort, the folks who were involved, and how difficult maybe at times it was.
We're a very data-driven industry, so all this data pointed to the airlines that they should be flying out of here into Europe. After the pandemic, what happened is that a lot of crews retired, a lot of aircraft are sitting on the ground, and they didn't have enough capacity. But our team has been working feverishly, along with our partners, all these wonderful corporations, including Eli Lilly and Visit Indy and everybody else, to make sure that we reestablish business.
Final question, and that's the state of the airline industry now. Obviously, challenges through the pandemic and kind of working through that. How would you assess the state of the airline industry?
You know, it's always volatile to begin with, but you have different issues affecting it. Right now, Boeing is affecting it. And not just the Boeing strike, which is slowing down orders, but the Boeing issues that they've been having. You still have flight crews that are being trained, pilots especially. So it's getting better. But it'll take some time for the entire industry to stabilize. What's happening in the industry is that it's affecting smaller markets, because the pilots that fly and the crews that fly the smaller aircraft are moving to large aircraft to keep the capacity, and you can't put a large aircraft in a small market. So it's really disproportionately affecting the smaller markets. But as time goes on, everything will level out.
Mario Rodriguez, Indianapolis International Airport.
Much.
Thank you. Congrats on the new flight.
Thank you.
Breaking down now what this new nonstop to Dublin means. Again, it's going to serve as a gateway to every other major European city. Once you take off from Indianapolis International and arrive in Dublin, let's say you want to head to London. That's a hop, skip, and a jump. Will take less than an hour and a half to get there. Or maybe you want to fly to Paris, just an hour and 45 minutes for that trip. And if the heart of Europe is your destination, flying from Dublin to Berlin takes a little over 2 hours. Well, when we come back, Central Indiana's newest arena is set to open.
That one covered well by Hilly, playing the carry. And a same side attack, Grace Cleveland.
From concerts to professional volleyball to hockey to indoor football. See how the new Fishers Event Center is poised to make big noise and produce some big bucks in Indiana.
Back to the right wing shot, score! Colin Bielik!
Welcome back to Indianapolis International Airport. Well, Fishers is set to score big with a new 7,500-seat arena that will be home to hockey, volleyball, football, and more. And we get a first look. This new entertainment hub in Hamilton County will be home to everything from sports to concerts, to high school graduations and football games. After more than a year of construction, the Fishers Event Center getting ready to welcome visitors for its first event in less than a month.
First show, November 22nd, Turnpike Troubadours. As you can see behind me, scoreboard's up, seats are in, so it's really getting exciting.
The 7,500-seat venue will not only be home to a variety of music and entertainment performances, but also sports, lots of them, including 2 brand new leagues. Fishers Freight Indoor Football
Edmond.
and Indy Ignite Women's Volleyball.
Fishers, we think it's just going to be the perfect size for a new team, just really high energy. In the stadium itself for the play. We're really looking to build just an incredible foundation for years to come.
And the Indy Fuel are moving north.
One-timer score!
Their home opener set for December 6th.
Where we're standing right now is as far back from the ice as you can get for a hockey game. So you're really right on top of the action, whether that's a hockey game or a concert.
The center is projecting it will host 125 events in its first year, It's expected to have a major economic impact on the region as local residents and those from surrounding communities walk through the doors.
We'll get into private events and community events. So the Mudsock basketball game, Fishers and HSE playing, that's going to be really exciting for the community. We've got local graduations too. So really a building for the community and entertainment here in Hamilton County.
And Fishers isn't the only community with a new space for sports. Kylie Valletta is in studio with that and other business news making headlines around Indiana.
Here's what's making news around Indiana. Brought to you by the Indiana Association of Realtors. Indiana's 21,000 realtors. The neighbors you know, the experts you can count on.
Let's get started this week in northern Indiana, where the Mishawaka Fieldhouse is now open to the public. It features volleyball and basketball courts, as well as space for pickleball, a soccer turf field, and much more. 1 million visitors are expected each year, and there are hopes that the Fieldhouse becomes a destination for youth sports. Affordable housing is an issue, some would say a crisis, in communities statewide, and an Indiana company believes it can be part of the solution. Volumod builds both multifamily and single-family modular homes constructed in an East Side Indianapolis factory. The company launched in 2020 and now has nearly 5,000 of its units in communities statewide, including South Bend, Fort Wayne, Indianapolis, and Evansville. Some of the developments include public-private partnerships. Volumod says its manufacturing process brings efficiency to what can be an inefficient industry.
With modular housing, everything's done in a climate-controlled factory environment. So we're squeezing all of the inefficiency out of the construction process, and it really allows us to build the product while the foundation is being set out on site. And this greatly accelerates the time it takes to create that new development.
Volumod expects to have about 100 employees at its East Side Indianapolis factory by the end of the year, with plans to add factories in northern and southern Indiana in the future. Online retail company Cressera Brands is building a $47 million distribution center in Greenfield. Cressera owns Sportsman's Guide, the Golf Warehouse, and Baseball Savings. The center is expected to create 200 jobs. The company will earn more than $2 million in tax credits from the Indiana Economic Development Corporation if things go as planned. The Indianapolis Zoo is giving $1 million to a newly discovered hummingbird from the brink of extinction. There are only around 100 blue-throated hill stars left in Ecuador. The money will support a conservation group there, expand protected land for the birds. We'll get back out to Gerry at the airport in just a few minutes, but first, how IU Health's new multi-billion-dollar downtown Indianapolis campus is creating a movement for health equality, led by neighbors and major players in the area when we come back. One of the largest construction projects in Indiana history right here, IU Health's new $4.3 billion campus in downtown Indianapolis, moving to make an impact on the health of people who live in its shadow. The near north side of Indianapolis, an area that neighbors say has been disinvested in for many years, is changing course. Thanks to IU Health's major expansion project, a new hospital campus sprawling 44 acres is galvanizing neighbors and other major players in the area to make sure the well-being of local residents also benefit. Just announced this week, a new nonprofit called the Indy Health District is on a mission to increase health equity for people who live in the area. The new IU Health campus falls within the district's footprint. The Indy Health District's goal is to improve not only the clinical health of locals, but also the mental, social, and financial aspects of health and well-being. The Indy Health District aims to ensure the fresh interest and investments in the area align with the community's goals.
In fact, if you talk to people in the community, they'll tell you they want their neighborhoods invested in. They want them to look, feel, and be better. What they don't want is the historic displacement that comes by way of gentrification. And so a part of what we want to do is make sure this newly found interest in resource and investment is in alignment with that and doesn't begin to displace the folks who have been living in the district for quite some time.
Smith says one of the biggest strengths of the Indy Health District is all 5 of its anchor institutions are rowing in the same direction. Those include IU Health, Ivy Tech, the Children's Museum, Citizens Energy, and the IU School of Medicine. And to Kokomo, where cancer patients are now getting the latest treatments closer to home. Community Howard Regional Health announcing the hospital has treated its first patients with stem cell transplants used for cancers of the blood. 2 other health systems in central Indiana have transplant centers, so Community MD Anderson Cancer Center would refer out patients. Now those patients can stay in-house.
Moving into another system, maybe into another electronic medical record, some things are lost in translation. And so it's important for people to be able to get the full range of cancer care services within Community Health Network. And that was our commitment, was to make sure that we could bring that to our patients.
The new cancer treatment options will expand next to Community Hospital North in Indianapolis. The trickle-down effect of Hurricane Helene is being felt at a hospital in southern Indiana. The nationwide shortage of IV fluids is causing Schneck Medical Center in Seymour to reschedule some non-emergency surgeries. The biggest supplier of IV fluids in the U.S., Baxter International, took a hit from Hurricane Helene that it's still trying to recover from. Indiana hospitals say the shortage is not affecting emergency care and urgent surgeries. Let's send it back out now to the airport with Gerry.
Well, when we come back, Indiana's multi-billion-dollar trade connection with Ireland. How the new Aer Lingus nonstop flight to Dublin could spur even more investment. Early Learning Indiana says the Lilly grant will be geared towards toddlers, which is when early brain development starts. And
as we hit hard, but the deceleration, while rapid, was uniform. And based upon the forces that Jeff and I felt in the cockpit as we slowed to the stop, it was obvious that the airplane was intact, it was stable, it was floating, and people were probably still okay at that point.
Purdue alum and captain of the Miracle on the Hudson, Sully Sullenberger, returning to his alma mater. Sullenberger, known for landing a commercial jet that had been hit by large geese on the Hudson River in New York, will take part in Purdue's presidential lecture series Monday. Sullenberger responsible for saving the lives of all 155 passengers on board that plane. Well, here at Indianapolis International Airport, there is certainly buzz around news of the new nonstop flight to Dublin. But flying directly over the pond is not only making it easier to get to Europe for leisure travelers, it could also spur additional investment between Ireland and Indiana, which already totals in the billions of dollars.
This is my first visit to Indianapolis, and hopefully every visit will be as big a day as this.
They may be 3,700 miles apart, but Ireland and Indiana have a lot in common. Both about the same size, have roughly the same amount of people, about 7 million folks in Indiana, and a little more than that on the Emerald Isle. And Ireland's influence in the Hoosier State, Irish immigrants among the first to settle in central Indiana.
Indianapolis is obviously a place with an extremely strong Irish heritage, with immigrants from Ireland playing such an important role throughout its history.
Indiana counts Ireland as its top importer, generating some $20 billion annually. Eli Lilly and Company, one of more than a dozen Hoosier companies with massive operations there.
Last month, we just announced a $1.8 billion investment in Ireland, which truly emphasizes the growing demand for a non-stop flight from Indy to Dublin.
More than 50 Ireland-based companies have roots in Indiana. Businesses like global security provider Allegiant and Ingersoll Rand, a global powerhouse that makes air compressors and power tools.
Target, the mall is set, almost lost its footing.
And momentum growing between the Hoosier State and Emerald Isle in the sports technology sector. Ireland-based companies like WeStream setting up U.S. headquarters on Hoosier soil.
These are gateways. These are hubs into the whole of the Midwest and America, and hubs into the whole of Europe. And so for a state like Indiana, so heavily invested in manufacturing, and for a country like Ireland, the most Western entry point into Europe, for us to have that direct relationship where they're investing in new fleets, where they're investing in technology, to have that kind of technology for the business or for leisure, when you're doing work for 8 hours, you're going to be there before you know it.
And big benefits in store too for leisure travelers.
One of the really customer service parts is that you clear customs in Dublin. And no matter how good the aircraft is, no matter how good the service is, and they are very good service in Aer Lingus, you're going to be tired when you get back home. You don't want to clear customs. You get off the airplane, pick up your bags, get in your car and go.
Book often, and I know you're going to enjoy the flight to Ireland. Thank you.
Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of Inside Indiana Business. We leave you this week where we started, here at Indianapolis International Airport, with news of a new nonstop flight to Ireland. I'm Gerry Dick. Thanks for joining us. Go out and make it a successful week.